All right. So what I'm going to do is go over some quick processing. We'll use some previously used data. So Deep Sky Stacker. I'm going to open up some data from last week. We'll use which one should I use here? NGC 891, taken on the 19th. So these were 10-minute exposures when I was up north. Of this Edge-on galaxy. We're going to open up some darks. These are my darks. Okay, yes, I want to open up these 5-minute darks. And then I need to open up my flat files. And Great Lakes on the 18th, I think that's correct. Yep. Open up these. So in Deep Sky Stacker, you bring in your light frames, your dark frames, and your flat frames. And it will register and then stack all of these. I'm going to use 90% of them. Yeah, let's go. Let's go 90%. So it'll only use the 90% best frames out of all these. So it may throw 2 frames away. And we'll go ahead and start this stacking process. So first thing it's going to do is take the dark frames and create a master dark frame. Okay. Now it's registering the 20 frames that of data that I selected. It's registering them. And then it'll decide which of the best frames to use during the stacking process. So it's decided to stack 18 of the images. And I use Deep Sky Stacker only for stacking. I don't do any other processing with it because it's pretty easy. You just select 3 sets of files and tell it to go. And it'll create a TIFF file as the output, which I'll use to bring into PixInsight. And there's the TIFF file. And there's the stack. And now I will take that and bring up PixInsight. Stack looks pretty good just on its own. So we'll open that up, file open. And we'll go to NGC 891. And this is the file we just created. And I'm going to do an auto stretch just to see what it looks like. There's going to be a lot of green because of the de Baer matrix. Like that. And one of the things I'm going to do before I do anything else is I'm going to crop off these edges. And the reason the edges are there is because this object was taken with the mount looking, or the scope looking to the east first, and then a meridian flip was performed, which means that the object went past the meridian. It was in the west now, so the telescope had to swap over pointing to the west to pick the object back up again. And it isn't a perfect match. If you remember last night's run, I tried to get the automation to bring the object within 100 pixels of center. So some of the things I might have to do is crop it a little bit. So we'll just do that right here. so. And I think that's good. And then I'm going to do open up one of the raw files. And the reason I'm going to do that is the first operation I do on this will be the photometric color calibration. And to do that, I pull in one of the raw files, and I say acquire from the image. So it just picked up the information that was in this FITS file. That's what this is. The RA, the deck positioning, time that it started, the focal length of the scope, and the X and Y pixel information. And that shows up right here. The RA and deck, the date and time, the focal length, and the pixel size. And I do that so that when I do the next step, it will know where to center the plate solve that it's about to do. And hopefully this will work. So I'm just going to press this button, and what it's going to do is go out to a database, if it works. Go out to a database and pull out the reference information for this object in the database. The reference information contains all the photometric data for most of the stars and in this case, an average spiral galaxy. And it's going to convert the image that you're seeing here to a white balance that reflects the spectra of the stars that are on there. This takes a minute or so. All right, and so it is now color balanced it. And I'll do an auto stretch on it. So the green is gone, but I now still have some artifacts on the outside, and I use another tool to flatten that out. It's called automatic background extraction. So we'll take that, and we're going to go ahead and subtract the background. And what I want to show you is what it took out were these gradients. See the light gradients, etc. So this is a pattern that it created on the background, and it generated a new output file. And it looks like that. So you notice most of those gradients are gone. Okay. So this is the one we're going to work with. I'll minimize this other one. And this is the one I'm going to work with. And I haven't actually stretched it. That was an auto stretch. So we'll start with that and bring up the histogram. Histogram is a way of stretching the data out such that we can actually see it. See, there's a little tiny spike over here. We're going to expand this to bring this data out. And expand it a little bit more here. Sort that up. And this becomes all art now to the user that makes these. You basically decide what you want it to look like. So I think I'll keep it right about there. It gives me some definition in the edge on area there. I do have a little more glow over here that I don't remember seeing before, but that's okay. So we'll go with that. In fact, if I wanted to, I might be able to stretch out another. No, we'll just go with that. So that's the histogram stretch. And then I'm going to bring up the curves transformation. And that'll be this. And I'm going to use saturation to bring up a little bit of color. So you notice that the blue stars get bluer and the orange stars get a little more orange, and the galaxy gets a little more brown. I can go crazy, see, I can make it look like a cartoon like that, but I like to be a little more subtle, so that's about where I would put it, right about there. Now, with that said, that's the simple processing that I do. I don't do a whole lot more. Sometimes I'll use a denoise tool, and we can look at that. Let me pull up what I processed this earlier in the week. Let me open up the previous processing, see if I'm even close to being consistent. Okay, so this is what I generated back on Tuesday or Wednesday from this data. So this is what I just did today, and this is what I did last Wednesday, I think, after I got back, because this object I took the data this just last Monday. So this is the previous processing, and this is what I just showed you. I apparently got rid of some of this other gradient here. Okay, we're going to end this guy. All right. So I'm not going to be, I just shut down my WebEx, that's all. So as you can see, I did it two different ways than I've done before. But this is the final result that I actually published, was this one. Okay, so that's what I do in processing. About 10 minutes worth, maybe 15. Pretty simple. Once you learn it, it's not that difficult. But it's just half a dozen tools or so.